And I will tell you what, you can learn to grow and learn to break the cycle and learn who you are when you can let that down, accept who God made you, and then move forward. We'll talk about how that looks in just a minute. I'll never forget my first time. It's called the National Religious Broadcasters, and all the broadcasters come together. It's a big event, and thousands of people, and I got invited to this dinner. First time ever, and it's like, all the people you've ever heard speak anywhere at this dinner, about 30 or 40 of them, and they seat me next to Chuck Swindoll. Mr. Swindoll. I mean, it wasn't quite that bad, but I'm thinking, like, great. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay. Approach number one. Hey, Chuck, how you doing? Chipper here. We're on 9 stations. How you guys coming? I don't think I'll go there. And I just sat and I didn't know what to say. And he's a really, really warm guy. And so I thought, well, I think you should start with honoring him. I said, excuse me, Dr. Swindoll, my name's Chip, and I'm real new at this. And, well, my name's Chuck. And he reached out his hand. Great. I said, can I just tell you something before we get going here? He said, sure. I said, I'm really out of my league. I don't know what I'm doing. This is a very threatening environment. Do you think you could give me a few tips on kind of how to go through this whole broadcasting thing? Heart comes open, walls come down. Chuck Swindoll scoots his chair over, puts his arm around me. Says, Chip, let me share a few things with you. Every year at that dinner, he's taken about a half hour with me, and almost like a prophet said, well, here's where the ministry is. Here's probably what you need to be thinking about next year. Why? See, we don't have to impress people. Who you actually are is the most attractive person on the planet. And just accepting, because of the fall, I'm insecure, you're insecure. Let's ask ourselves then, instead of denial and blaming and hiding, how do we discover who we are? How do we discover where we belong? And how do we discover what we're supposed to do? And do it knowing that, we'll always struggle with this. So let's dig into the text. God's answer to answering these 3 critical questions, who you are, is verse 3. For by the grace of God given to me, I say to everyone among you, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought. And write in your notes, if you will, to think. I mean, they're giving the inference there, but in the original language, that word think is repeated again. But rather think of yourself with sober judgment in accordance with the measure of the faith that God has given you. Circle the word think, and then circle the word ought, and we can remember it's ought to think. Then circle the word, again, notice, think, and then sober judgment. I mean, that's only one verse, and all 4 of those words, think, and sober judgment, is the same root word.